Indianapolis Colts have a new, well, kind of new, starting quarterback, but we're happy to see that it's official. Anthony Richardson will be that guy, and we're going to discuss it right after I get into this intro. Welcome to the Saddle Up Show with Shaad McGinnis, man. And I'm excited, man. It's fun times. It's lit again. It is lit again. This season is about to be a movie. I don't know what else to say besides the fact that I'm excited. Like, I'm genuinely excited. You probably can hear it in my voice. But, man, this is what we've all been waiting for. You know, I've wrote countless articles this week talking about the way he played. And we're going to get to that game in just a second. But this announcement it couldn't have been done with better timing. You know, I wrote another article talking about the importance of joint practices and the importance of these reps that is coming up in the next 2 days. That's already a joint practice that's already gotten underway. I know that there's footage of Michael Pittman making a grab down the field already in a one-on-one situation that the referee called the offensive pass interference. That 100% not getting called in the game situation. It was a beautiful throw by Anthony Richardson, and the cornerback just couldn't recover in time. But it's already started. Anthony Richardson needs these reps. He don't needs to be splitting these reps with Gardner Minshew. The time is ticking as far as opening day, and we need him to get as many reps as possible. I'm excited to see it. I'm so glad Steichen went ahead and just made the announcement and got it out the way. You know, we don't need to be thinking and wondering and debating. And that's one less thing for him to think about as well. You know, a quarterback can play freely, can play more loose when that aspect is already decided. Now that he knows he's officially going to be the starter, you know, that's one less thing on his plate. He has enough on his plate as is, and we don't need him spending time thinking about things that's already figured out, you know. And I'm so just relieved to see Steichen go ahead and make that decision. You know, sometimes in the past we've seen Frank Reich kind of BS with stuff like this and kind of sugarcoated and would have probably made this decision maybe the couple of days leading up until week one. And that's just something I'm just relieved that that the Colts decided to go a different route. And Steichen made this decision and he did it expeditiously. And now we get to see him full on 100% reps with the ones and just kind of allow Gardner to settle into that backup role, a role he's excelled at several times in several different places, you know, with Jacksonville, with Philadelphia, and now in Indy. And I couldn't think of a better guy, a better role model, you know, as far as the type of attitude, the type of competitiveness, a guy who's going to show up and compete at the highest level. I talked about Gardner earlier this week. I wrote about where does that leave him, you know, and I got a couple quotes from Gardner in that piece. But he talked about, you know, just it hurt the fact that he didn't win the job, which is understandable. You know, all these quarterbacks, no matter what you think about them, they all are competing, you know, to be a starting quarterback or to be that backup quarterback, but they're competing, whether it's one thing or another. So I know most of us was thinking Anthony Richardson would be the starter on day one. Gardner was going out there competing like this was literally a 50-50 thing in the coach's mind. And I'm sure he realized too, you know, okay, this Anthony Richardson kid is not as raw as most people made him out to be. Shout out to James Boyd. He's not a project quarterback, you know. He's a little bit further along than most people anticipated, which was something I was saying in the in the draft process that I know he's only had 13 starts, but guys that need to sit early on is guys that you have to rebuild mechanically and technically. Those type of guys need to sit because you have to tear everything down and kind of start from the foundation. You know, you're going back to the basics. This guy doesn't need to be retooled as far as his mechanics go. You know, the areas this guy needs to improve in will only get better with reps by being out there. You know, I saw the comment from Emmanuel Acho. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I saw him say that the coach was making a terrible mistake and He called out several guys that set their rookie years and went on to be superstar quarterbacks. My only problem with that is there's guys on both ends of those spectrums. What about the guy that started their rookie year and went on to be superstar quarterbacks? Or what about the guys that sat their rookie year and ended up being total bust? My only problem with his example and his logic, which he's entitled to his own opinion, but if you're going to use quarterbacks as an example to support your theory, you can't use Justin Herbert and Josh Allen. Those guys sat a combined 6 quarters. Josh Allen sat out the first game. I believe Justin Herbert sat out one game. And then those guys started. Justin Herbert going on to win Rookie of the Year. So those guys played early and often, and they ended up developing into really, really good quarterbacks. So I don't understand what his logic is, but it's totally flawed if you're using those two guys to support what you're thinking. I'm in full support of what Steichen decided to do. And by Steichen making this decision so early, I know that his timeline that he had before training camp started is all falling into place. This assured me of that. So I'm excited to see that. Now that I know Steichen has this type of confidence in Anthony Richardson, that means things is falling in place perfectly. And I'm excited just to see what the plan is, man. And while we're talking about, let me go to my comment gang. I see y'all in here. Y'all killing Nacho. He is definitely. Let's read this one. Nacho brutal. He said Tua over Herbert. Michael Parsons isn't good enough, and that we will cause javelin throws to. Okay. Yeah. Nah. We're not even going to entertain that. Shout out to Matt Roberts. Curious what the T situation will look like with all the injuries. Who do you think makes the 53, and how many will they carry? I think it'll be 4. With the injuries going on, the rash of injuries. I think Mo's safe. I'm gonna go Mo. I'm gonna go Granson for sure. Jelani for sure. Even Mo was a borderline guy coming into training camp for me, just because of what you could have saved if you moved on from him. But just with the injuries and the inconsistencies at the position, he's the guy I think you got to hold on to. And I think Will Mallory probably goes on the practice squad. Maybe. Just depends on the significance of the injury. I don't know, man. I just haven't seen enough from him. You just haven't been out. They miss OTAs. Then you come back for training camp. Then you get hurt again. It's not good. It's not good for a rookie. Drew Ogletree has looked better. He was a star of training camp last offseason, and he's still working his way back. So, he's an interesting one to watch. Mallory should be back soon, but I don't know, man. I just don't know. But hopefully, for that Final Four spot, I know Farrell Brown got a lot of snaps on Sunday. I like him as a blocker. Don't give you much as a receiver. Not sure the Colts care about that. The Colts are probably going to have one tight end position that's just designated for blocking alone. One guy that's going to make the roster for that reason, just for a lot of their run concepts and a lot of their perimeter runs that they like to get out on the edge and do. So I can see that happening. Do me a favor, y'all. While y'all in here, please like. And I would say comment, but y'all commenting. So appreciate y'all for that. But yeah, man, the tight end position is one of the more interesting positions to watch. I got a chance to watch it Saturday, when the preseason game happened. Colin Granson is a guy that if you follow this show from platform to platform, I know we've been all over the place with the show, but I've been a big fan of Colin Granson. He just offers such a unique skill set. Like no other tight end out of the other 55 tight ends that we have, none of them are like Colin Granson. He's in a skill set of his own, I should say, with the way he's able to get separation, type of catches he makes. Beautiful catch for about 20 yards against Buffalo on Saturday. Anthony Richardson, one of his best throws of the day with that throw. I see a lot of people saying they like that throw better than the Alex Pierce one the one Alex Pierce dropped. I'm not going to go that far. I do like the concept, with the read and the read option and the ability to draw those linebackers up. That is going to happen as long as Anthony Richardson's your quarterback. He throws the linebackers. They took a half a step up, and just that moment, that half a second is enough time to allow Colin Granson to clear out that space right behind those guys and make a big catch. Great throw by Anthony Richardson, put it just outside of the linebackers' reach on that play. But while we're talking about the Buffalo game, we could just get into it. The Colts, they lost 23-19. Colts always lose preseason games, but who really gives a damn? Not me. What I saw out there from the ones was encouraging. Anthony Richardson threw a brutal pick on the first drive. His feet wasn't set. He was kind of sped up due to the pressure, but he recognized the pressure. McKenzie pointed out to him, which I really like, that they're helping him, recognize different guys. And I know he was expecting his hot read to be right there in the vacated spot that the corner was coming from. McKenzie didn't flatten that route up enough, and it ended up being an interception. But Anthony Richardson has to make a better throw than that. He has to actually just throw that away. He has to set his feet and get rid of that football, because you're not going to make a good throw basically jumping off one leg the way he threw it. That was not good mechanics, wasn't good footwork. You just can't have that. But he's a rookie, so he's going to do things like that. You'd rather him do it right now in the preseason than do it in the regular season. And one thing we've all learned about Anthony Richardson is that he doesn't typically make the same type of mistakes twice. He had 3 drives on Saturday. He got better and better with each drive. There was no 3 and outs from him. Even the very first drive, the drive he threw the pick on, they converted the first down on that drive. I think the first drive after the pick, he came back, he settled down, he moved the chains on the second drive. The Colts were unable to get a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1, and that's been the history of the Colts for the past 5 years. Seem like we just haven't been able to convert in short yard situations. But you have to think that in the regular season, Anthony Richardson would have kept that. The famous Philadelphia quarterback sneak is, I'm sure, going to be implemented with Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson. I think that's definitely going to be added to the playbook. And you would like to think you could quarterback sneak that for that 1 yard, and you keep the chains moving in that situation. But you're not going to do that in the preseason game. Hell no. You don't want him taking any extra punishment. But I seen on that drive where I believe that was Gregory Rousseau that came free. As soon as he snapped it, Anthony Richardson was able to make him miss in the backfield and scrambled out. It was only a scramble about 4 or 5 yards. But who cares? I was just happy to finally see a Colts quarterback mobile enough to make someone miss and turn a negative play into something positive. We haven't had that for I don't know how long since number 12 was that quarterback. And I don't want to mention his name because typically go down the rabbit hole when that happens. But yeah, it was just refreshing to see that, man. He took that snap and Rousseau came free. Like, he was unblocked, which was probably the design of the play for the guy on the backside of that play to come unblocked. But Anthony Richardson made a miss, then went on to deliver a blow to the cornerback in the secondary. You love to see it. You just love to see your quarterback going out there being a playmaker. And on the 3rd drive, man, like I say, he had the ball to Colin Granson. He moved it to the Buffalo Bills side of the field. And he threw a beautiful ball to Alec Pierce that was dropped. Pierce hurt my heart when he dropped that pass. Because if he catches that for a touchdown, there's an entirely different conversation about the type of game Anthony Richardson had, as far as in comparison with these other rookie quarterbacks. Because when you look at it, I actually think he had a better game than the rest of the guys. Now, in the other guys' defense, some of those guys didn't play as much as him. Bryce Young, I don't believe I think it was 2 for 4, something like that. I know C.J. Stroud was, and one of those was an interception, but Anthony Richardson got a significant amount more plays ran believe it was 29 plays total. He needed that. He needed to run to get those snaps. But he played as well as you can pretty much ask, man. And then you had the run play where he kept it and went around to the sideline, got down to about the 2 yard line, but was called back due to a hold on, I believe it was Farrell Brown. And after that happened, it was just kind of like, all right, you know, whatever. So they kicked the field goal. They missed. Mr. Matt Gay, who we gave all the money to, the biggest contract in free agent history for a kicker, you missed a chip shot. I was disappointed. But Matt Gay, you my guy. You know, when you first signed, you hollered at me, you gave me a quote that I tweeted out when you first signed. So you're all good in my book. Until you do it in the regular season. Then I got to put you on the grill. And I would hate to have to come up here and fry you, Matt Gay. So please, no more chip shot misses. I thought the offense was fine, though. The defense, it was put in a terrible spot. It was put in an awful spot off the interception. They gave up a touchdown to James Cook on the ground. But other than that, the defense was fine as well early on. Now, this is only the starters I'm talking about. The reserves on the offense, the offensive line was awful. Awful. Gardner Minshew did what he could do with those reserves, but the offensive line is terrible. Our team has no depth, and if anybody goes down, then pray for Anthony Richardson. We're all going to collectively come into his room as a community and pray for him because it's not going to be good. It's going to be awful. Hopefully, the Colts, make a run at an offensive lineman sometime at some point because I still think they can use help at right guard. I don't think Fries was bad. I mean, he got beat by Ed Oliver on a couple of snaps. I think it was 2 altogether. But in 29 snaps to get beat twice is, it's understandable. But I think the rest of the offensive line played well. I really do. I think they were solid enough. And you can definitely see an improvement from last season, which is probably not saying much because it was so awful last season. But toward the end of last season, they really started to pick up. And it's kind of where I feel like they picked up at this preseason game as well, right where they left off at last season. Hopefully the Colts are looking at a veteran guard on the market. I won't say if they are or aren't. But let's just say, I don't think they're done at that position. I'll say that. As far as the young cornerbacks, that was a big talking point, in the preseason. I thought Darius Rush looked good. I mean, aside from the splash play he made, we all saw the splash play. The splash play was beautiful. He had a pick six, which is funny because in OTAs, one of the first plays he made was a pick six, like in 7-on-7s, I believe. So this is not something that happens by accident. He's one of those guys that he's always in the right place, And when you're in the right place, good things happen to you. You find the football finds you, rather. So I was happy to see that. I was happy to see Juju Brents out there. He had a couple of May snaps, a couple of bad reps. Not many, but nothing too concerning. But he's working his way back, man. This guy has been out. He's missed all of OTAs. I believe he has about 5 training camp practices, first game action. I expect that. I expect things to be a little tough on him. But this reserve unit didn't get any pressure on Matt Barkley, who ended up lighting the Colts up, out there. He lit the reserves up pretty bad. Safeties. You see the Colts sign 2 safeties, T. Saber and Ronnie Harrison. As guys that Ronnie Harrison especially is not a camp body. I can't see him just being brought in to be cut when you break down to your 53 man. I think he's really going to make this team, and I think he's going to actually play. So hopefully we see Rodney Thomas and Julian Blackmon, 2 guys that were out, get back soon. I'm worried about the secondary as a whole, playing so many young guys. We're gonna see them. We're gonna see because it's a fun group all together. I see Deep is asking, is practice still going? I believe it is. I believe it is. And people sending me videos. Anthony Richardson's throwing the ball really well from the videos I'm getting. Like he's throwing it really well. I see I think it's Josh Downs caught a deep ball um down the sideline. Josh Downs really good, man. Josh Downs really, really good. He finds a way to get open. He's super quick and his route running is pretty good for a guy that's fresh out of college, rookie season. Let's not forget he was one of the most productive wide receivers in college football. I think he played 3 years and had over 200 catches. Like, you know how insane that is? They have over 200 receptions in 3 years in college football. He was putting up monster years. So Josh Downs is a guy that's excelling well. Let's talk about joint practice though. Joint practice. There's something I wanted to talk about joint practice. I wrote an article talking about why it's important. For those of you guys that didn't get a chance to see that article, you know, joint practice is important because when you're evaluating, like let's take offensive and defensive linemen. You evaluate those guys. You can't really evaluate them fairly and honestly during training camp because those guys can't go full force on each other. They can't really just go at it. You know, they can't beat each other up. The risk of injuries. Those guys are playing the same guys over and over. Both sides know the scheme. When you get in joint practices, it's a pretty good indicator of telling you where you're at as a unit when you get out there. Your offense going against the Bears defensive line, the Bears uh, offensive line going against your defensive line. This defensive line, these guys got to make some plays, man. We got to see these guys make some plays. We need to see Quiddy Pay. We need to see Dio. We need to see Samson Ebukam. You probably won't see DeForest Buckner, which I'm fine with. I don't need to see him at all this preseason, honestly. But you need to see something from those guys. At least good reps. They have one-on-one opportunities in these joint practices where you really get a chance to evaluate them from a move, from a skill set purpose. You get to see those guys in 11 on 11s. It's the full experience. Preseason, you may see these guys for one drive. That's it. 2 drives at the most. You know, you can't really evaluate them like you would like to. They don't get enough reps. They don't get a full game's rep. But with joint practices, they get a lot of reps at each practice, which joint practices is typically 2 days, like the Colts will be today and tomorrow. And you get a chance to really evaluate these guys under the bright lights. The Colts definitely need one of these pass rushers to emerge, whether it's Quiddy, Dio, Samson. Somebody needs to step up and become one of those alpha dogs, one of those alpha dogs on that defensive line. I know we have one in DeForest Buckner, but you like to get one coming off the edge as well. We have Grover Stewart, who's an absolute stud. As you guys already know how I feel about Grove. But we need one of these edge rushers, man, to take that step, especially with such an inexperienced secondary. The best friend to a secondary that's inexperienced is a great pass rush. If you can find a way to generate pass rush and get home with 4 people, then that's the best thing that you can have for that secondary. I would like to see Gus Bradley get a little more creative, call a little more simulated pressures. See, what simulated pressures allow you to do is send 4, but it's an unconventional 4. You don't know what 4 is coming. You still have your 7 people back in coverage, so you're safe in coverage. But you're sending a different 4 than you typically send. It's not just the typical 4-down lineman. Maybe you're mixing in a linebacker, somebody like Shaq or somebody like Zaire, and you're dropping out a guy, maybe Samson Ebukam into the flat or something like that, or who knows, maybe DeForest Buckner drops back into the middle of the field. But, you get creative with those simulated pressures. And I would like to see Gus Bradley do a little bit more of that to kind of get creative, because when you don't have an alpha dog, you don't have an ace, really. You kind of got to get creative. The game plan for most teams are going to be able to double DeForest Buckner and make one of these other guys beat you. And until these guys show the ability to beat one-on-ones consistently, then I think that's going to be a problem. I'm really interested in seeing how this running back situation play out. I know we got the news that Jonathan Taylor is not with the team today. He is excused. This is an excused absence. He's taking some personal time. Uh, I haven't quite heard anything about what that may entail, and if it did, I probably wouldn't share it. If it's something personal, that out of respect for him, he deserves his privacy for sure. If it's something that's really going on that's personal, you know. And now that I know he sees my tweets, I guess I better watch what I say, right? After he liked my tweet from last week, I guess I better watch it. Hopefully, he didn't read the article that I wrote about him not getting paid or why the Colts wouldn't want to pay him. Now, I see things from both sides. I absolutely think he should get paid. I just don't think it should be the market setting $60 million that they're claiming he wants. Although I've heard that it's not 16 million. I don't know if it's not 16 million anymore, but he's definitely not getting 16 million from Indianapolis. So hopefully everything is well with Jonathan Taylor. He's rehabbing his ankle injury. So we'll see how that goes and how that progresses. I thought the running backs in a preseason game played pretty solid. Nothing special. Deion Jackson ran the ball probably the best out of all the guys that actually got snaps. I believe we saw a lot of different guys get carries. I think Deion Jackson was the most successful. And I don't know if it's because of the downhill running style that Shane Steichen offense calls for, but he looked to be very comfortable, even patient in some of those, waiting on some of those windows and some of those rushing lanes to open up. He looked really good, man. I was impressed with Deion. I think he's oftentimes the forgotten person. When we look in the backfield, we talk about Jonathan Taylor, we talk about Zach Moss, we talk about Evan Hall, they signed Kenyon Drake, and it kind of just forget about good old Deion, who's just been here last couple of years, just kind of doing his thing, man. He's mostly known as a special teams guy, but he answers the bell every time his name is called. I'm not saying he should be the featured back. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying he's just a guy. Like, you just love to have those type of guys on your roster. A guy, when you call his name for a bigger role, he stays ready. Whenever the starter comes back, he goes back to his spot. He doesn't complain, just keeps his head down and work, and is always ready regardless of the situation. That's things that you like to see, man. You like to see those type of things. Uh, so I'm trying to see what's the latest going on in the joint practice. If there's any, I see this Anthony Richardson threw a pick that he sailed over Josh Downs' head. Eddie Jackson was the one that picked it, so that's not good. I'm sure there's some people that's going to call him the worst quarterback in the world, And I can't understand the people that really that really wants Anthony Richardson to fail. Like, even if you didn't want the Colts to draft Anthony Richardson, I'm fine with that. Like, if you didn't want him to pick Anthony Richardson, you don't like Anthony Richardson, it's not your thing, not your style of quarterback. You don't like the kid. But now that they got him, they have him. Like, he's not going anywhere. He's the quarterback. To root for him to actively fail is like, that's like OD loser like stuff. Like, why would you want him to fail if he's still a quarterback of your favorite team? I don't know. Maybe that's something I just will never understand. Probably. I don't care who it is. That's the quarterback. Whether I hated them before they signed up. Once you put that horseshoe on, I support you, man, full fledged. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But everybody's wired differently, so I'm not mad at that. No Braden Smith today, I see. Oh no, Braden Smith was back. No Ryan Kelly. No Ryan Kelly. So Danny Pinter, a man many of you remember from last season who was playing guard, is now back at center. The Colts is just, I don't know, man. They're so weird when it comes to this team, bro. I don't know. They know what they need to improve on, and they just don't. They just refuse to do it. Oh, and that bomb down the sideline was Amari Rogers. It wasn't Josh Downs, Amari Rogers. Who was a sneaky good pickup, man. I don't know if a lot of you were familiar with Amari Rogers. He had a bit of a fumble problem. Early on, he was a third round draft pick. But his dad is a great receivers coach. T. Martin, some of you might know him as the guy that took over for the Tennessee Volunteers right after Peyton Manning. But he's a great wide receivers coach. I spent some time I know in Baltimore for sure. Was at USC. He's a pretty cool guy. I met him a couple of times. But Amari Rogers, I like the chance of this guy actually making a team. Man. He is a playmaker with the ball in his hands. He was that at Clemson, and now the fact that he getting the chance to show what he can do on this team is pretty exciting, man. He just caught a deep bomb in one-on-ones, and he looks pretty good. He looks pretty good. I see Evan Hall having a decent day out there. Matt Sands, basically what I said already. Can you explain why every year Ballard doesn't address the line? I don't care who it is. Don't preach competition and not back it up. See, and that's the thing. Like with Ballard, it's been a couple of different positions that we've had this problem with. It was pass rush a couple of years ago. Was that last year? Yeah, it was wide receivers last year. It was pass rush the year before that. Offensive line is, I don't know, man. Sometimes he has tunnel vision with some of these guys. He sees these guys, and let me tell you something about coaches, because coaches play a part in this right here. What I'm gonna say. I hang around a lot of coaches, as you all know. These coaches think they can fix every player that's on their team. Every player. For example, an offensive line coach loves his offensive line, which is fine. When you go to them and consult with them about a player coming in, they always think it's fine. No, it's fine. We're good. The five I got, we're good. I can get the most out of this guy. I can turn this guy into this. Just give me a chance, give him a chance, and I can fix it. It doesn't work all the time. It doesn't happen. I've seen this happen with the Colts at certain positions. That's just a coach's mentality. They have supreme confidence in their ability to teach, and they love their guys. But it doesn't always work out like that. And you can't really ask them for their opinion because they're not looking through outside eyes, you know. People always talk about being on the inside. They know more. They do know more. They see these guys more than anybody else. But sometimes you're too close to something. You ever hear somebody tell you, like cops can't investigate certain things because they're too close to it, if it's something with a family member? Because now you can't evaluate properly. Once you love these guys, you grow a connection with these guys. You can't. Sometimes it gets difficult for them to do their job and evaluate these guys. You need to bring in somebody on the outside to look at these guys and say, hey, okay, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. Y'all need to bring in somebody that can do that. Coaches lose sight of that sometimes. And I don't know if that's a Ballard thing as well. When Ballard brings in players, he just looks and he depends on these guys too much. No, man, you have to have a revolving door. General managers like Howie Roseman, these guys go into the season always trying to make their roster better. That's signs of a great GM. You know, it's never off the table making a move, making a trade, making a signing. And I use Howie Roseman as an example because I remember last season they played the Giants. I believe the Giants gave the Eagles their first loss, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe the Giants ran all over them that game. Like, just ran straight through the Eagles. The Eagles instantly that week went out and signed 2 defensive tackles. One was Ndamukong Suh, and I can't think of who the other one name is. But that's a general manager that's actively evaluating still into the season. This is week 12, week 11, whatever week it was that happened. And he's steady exhausting all options to make his team better. Like, that's what Chris Ballard needs to be doing at this stage of the game. If you see a fatal flaw in your offensive line, don't try to be the smartest guy in the room and have a thousand people telling you, hey, man, fix the right guard position. And you say, no, I like what we have. I'm going to show everybody. I'm going to show all of them that I'm smarter than them. I'm not going to address it. And we're going to keep what we have, and they're going to be just fine. No, man, just go fix it, man. Like, like sometimes the common sense answer is the answer. Like, you don't always have to go above and beyond and be this deep. Like, if your tire has a hole in it, patch it up, bro. Like, don't just no, I'm just gonna continue to ride this bike. We're gonna make it to our destination, even with the hole in it. Yeah, man, you might make it to your destination, but it's gonna be a hell of a lot harder with that hole in that tire, man. Why don't you go get you a right guard? There's ample amount of options. It's about at least 4 or 5 different players that's on the market still that will be serviceable. That can come in and compete with Will Fries. Now, if Will Fries beat him out in camp, then fine. We've known you've done what you can to try to improve the roster, and we're fine with that. But just don't let your stubbornness, get in the way of making the team better. Like, that's when the problem comes, when you just so stubborn, you won't allow yourself to put your pride aside and do what you have to do to improve the team, man. Like, that be my only problem with Ballard sometimes. Like, sometimes the common sense answer, bro, is the answer. Like, it's no, because you're gonna sit up there in the interview in front of everybody and say, well, we like what we have. We're fine. We like what we have. We're still evaluating. Bro, go get a damn right guard. Like, it's simple. Like, it's not rocket science. But I am glad to see Braden Smith back, though. Like, we needed him back. We need those 3 guys, like the 3 prime guys. We need those guys playing back at Pro Bowl level. Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith, and Ryan Kelly, for sure. But I do think Ryan Kelly will be a lot better in the Shane Steichen offense than he was in the Frank Reich offense. Just remember I said that. What today is? August 6th. Remember I said that. And if he's worse, then just forget I ever said it. And don't remember. So what else do we have to discuss? Our Magic joint practice is literally going on right now. Like, that sucks. If it would have happened, could have started for 5 o'clock or something like that. Then we really have everything that we could discuss from it. I'm literally seeing plays right now. Oh, somebody fighting? Oh, no, that's Cowboys camp. Cowboys should be fighting. The most disappointing team every season. Every season, their preseason picks. They got a damn good team this year, and watch what we'll be saying by the end of the season. It's up. I'm glad Pittman had a good day. I heard he started off pretty good, like back-to-back catches. I see James Boyd tweeting about it, saying Pitt was amped near the Bears sideline, and he was hyped. Pittman made a great catch Saturday in the preseason game off a really high throw by Anthony Richardson, but Pitt was able to bring it down. Pitt's in a contract year, man. He's playing for a lot right now. I think he's confident that, he'll get re-signed. And he'll make the type of money that he's happy with, because the wide receiver market is just so crazy right now that Pitt's probably looking at $18, $20 million easy. Easy. Because he'll be a top 3 receiver in the open market next season. Like I said, the coach should get that extension done as soon as possible, because he's going to command a bit of a bag, and the longer it goes, the more that bag is going up. Hopefully the Colts. Somebody went down with an injury. So Colts defensive end Jannard Avery. went down. Oh man, he got carted off the practice field. That freaking sucks. That freaking sucks. Hate to see it, man. I just need this coach training camp, this joint practice, this preseason. I just need it all to go smooth on the injury front. Will that happen? Who knows? But the Colts have terrible luck with injuries. I saw the Titans, Traylon Burks, I said Traylon, Traylon Burks went down with an injury, serious injury. Uh, as much as I hate the Titans, I hate to see that for the young wide receiver. Guy's a stud, like an absolute stud, and hopefully he's able to come back and he's able to overcome that injury because I don't like seeing guys like that go down, man. He's a terrific young player, and he's definitely on the ascension. What else we got? Any questions y'all have that y'all want me to answer before I get up out of here? We've been going for about 40 minutes, 41 minutes. Anything? The Colts are going to have their, what this is, different quarterback number 7, 8? Different starting quarterback when Anthony Richardson starts? Jesus Christ. I don't know. I don't know how any team could have 7 or 8 seasons where they just have a different starting quarterback. It's only the Colts, bro. Like, some of the records that we have is insane. Some of the records that we have is insane. Uh-oh. We got a guy, the Ghost of Judah Tribe. I won't even click on it. He says Richardson sucks. You're entitled to have that opinion, bro. You're entitled to have that opinion. You think he sucks. I actually think he's pretty good. That's just me, though. What do I know? I don't know. Oh, we'll see you Saturday after we finish. Okay. That's. You're a Bears fan. Oh, okay. All right. I see why you said that. Okay. You could go out to any games this year. I don't know. I know I'll be at the Houston game for sure. That's only about a 6-hour drive from my crib. So I'll be pulling up to the Texans game. I believe it's week 2. I'll be pulling up to that one for sure. But I don't know about am I coming to Indy. It depends on how the team starts. If the team starts out pretty decent, then I'm gonna have to make it a priority to get on a flight and head out to Indy for sure. Uh-oh. CMDC is gonna try to go to Charlotte when the Colts play there. That's dope. I think that's dope, man. That's dope. I gotta find out where a lot of y'all from, so I get up with y'all when I get to Indy, man. I definitely gotta make it out that way though. We got a lot of people I need to meet. A lot of business I need to handle out there actually. Missing out on money, man. I need my money. Missing out on money. I ain't get no super chats today. I ain't get no money. I just did a free show for y'all basically. Well, y'all should appreciate me, man. I love y'all. I love giving back. Colts against Bears though this weekend. I think I want to see the young guys get some reps against the Colts, the young cornerbacks. I want to see them get matched up with DJ Moore, whether it's at joint practice today or whether it's this weekend in the game. But see, the problem is when you play joint practices, the starters typically don't play this weekend. That's why I don't think Anthony Richardson's going to play a lot. I see DJ Moore had a nice catch. I believe he was covered by Kenny Moore. Oh, yeah, I see the Bears fan in the comments talking about it. DJ Moore, I definitely want to see somebody get some reps against DJ Moore because he's definitely a bona fide number 1 cornerback, number 1 wide receiver, receiving option in the NFL. And I want to see how these cornerbacks match up against a guy like that. You know, Buffalo didn't really have that out there. They have Stephon Diggs, but he didn't play. So I didn't get a chance to see that. But I want to see these guys get some reps against DJ Moore. Not too concerned about Chase Claypool or Mooney. I don't know the health of those guys or whether those guys are even participating in joint practice. But I know DJ Moore is, and I definitely would like to see some of our guys get a matchup against them because I think that would be real beneficial for those young guys moving forward. Darren Breaker Jr. looked pretty solid in the game Saturday. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Nomadic Brian. Well, one way to deal with a weak cornerback situation is have successful pass rush. We definitely need that. Definitely have that. I like Justin Fields though. I also want this defense to. Mobile quarterbacks is something that's given them coach problems for years, as y'all all know. That's why I feel funny that we have one now. But I will like to see the Colts defense get some reps against Justin Fields. You know, a guy that proved last year he's one of the elite rushing options in the NFL. I think we all know he can throw the ball. We saw it in college. I was pretty high on Justin Fields as a player overall when I did the draft analyst. But I think that he's gonna put pressure on this defense, and it's the type of pressure that this defense needs to see because there's a lot of these type of quarterbacks that we're gonna play when the regular season comes, and the coach need to get adjusted to it. Getting Shaq Leonard back was huge. Watching him play in a preseason game was absolutely huge for him. He has been the heart and soul of the defense for the past few years, and to see him out there for a preseason game, a meaningless game that means nothing, for him to be out there active, running around, you know, he didn't make any plays. They ran the ball pretty much away from him, and the Bills only threw one pass while the Colts starting defense was out there. So the defense didn't really have a lot of pass rush situations, and so it was difficult to kind of evaluate them as a whole. But it was good to see Darius Shaq Leonard out there being a maniac once again, and hopefully all signs are pointing to week one for him. And so, all right, man, I'm gonna wrap this show up. I'm gonna go get some training camp notes and look at some videos from the joint practice today, and I will get up with y'all. We'll see y'all next week. We'll be recapping the Bears game and previewing the final preseason game because the regular season is almost here, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. I will see you guys next week. Make sure you go to horseshoehuddle.com. I got articles on Grover Stewart. I got articles on joint practices. I got what else I wrote about? Michael Pittman, of course. I've been right. Gardner Minshew, his mind frame after the Anthony Richardson news. Just all kind of things, man. Just go to horseshoehuddle.com. There's 1,000 different articles there. You can read all my work. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Thank y'all. I will see y'all again next week. Peace.